Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk to you today about something we all face at some point in our lives, dealing with people who aren't who they say they are. The truth is, not everyone who smiles at you is for you. Not everyone who walks with you is meant to stay. And sometimes, God allows certain people to come into our lives not to bless us, but to reveal something to us. God is always working, always guiding, always protecting us. And one of the ways He protects us is by exposing the people who don't have our best interests at heart. It may not feel good at the time, but trust me, when God reveals, He's getting ready to heal. Today, I want to give you 6 ways that God reveals fake people in your life so that you can walk in wisdom, peace, and confidence. People can pretend for a while, but they can't pretend forever. The truth always has a way of coming to the surface. You may not see it today, you may not recognize it tomorrow, but give it time, and God will reveal what you need to know. Some people will come into your life with a smile, a helping hand, and what seems like pure intentions, but over time the cracks begin to show. Their kindness fades when there's nothing left to gain. Their encouragement turns cold when your success outgrows their comfort, and their loyalty shifts when standing with you no longer serves them. But let me tell you, that's not something to be discouraged about. That's something to celebrate, because every time God reveals the heart of someone around you, He is protecting you. He is making room for the right people, the ones who will love you, support you, and celebrate you in every season. When you go through life trying to force people to stay who are only meant to be there for a season, you delay what God is trying to do in your life. You hold on to the familiar when He's trying to take you into something greater. Think about Judas. He walked with Jesus, talked with Jesus, dined at the same table. Outwardly, he was part of the inner circle. He saw the miracles, he heard the teachings, he was trusted with responsibility. But when the moment came, his true heart was exposed. He was never meant to go where Jesus was going. He played his part, and then he was removed. And because Jesus understood His purpose, He didn't let Judas's betrayal shake him. He didn't get bitter. He didn't spend his time trying to prove his worth to someone who never truly valued him in the first place. He kept moving forward. And that's what you have to do. Don't let it shake you when people change, when their true colors come to light. God will allow people to exit your life when their part in your story is over. That's not a loss. That's a divine strategy. God sees what you can't see. He hears the conversations you were never meant to hear. He knows what's happening behind the scenes. And when He reveals the truth, it's never to harm you, it's to heal you, to elevate you, to prepare you for what's ahead. Maybe you've been wondering why certain relationships have faded, why people you thought would always be there no longer in your corner. Maybe you've questioned why someone who seemed so genuine turned out to be anything but. Don't dwell on it. Don't waste your energy trying to figure out why. Instead, recognize that God has a plan. Every door that closes, every person that walks away, every betrayal you endure is setting you up for something greater. What you thought was rejection was actually redirection. What you thought was loss was actually making space for gain. I know it's not always easy. I know it hurts when you find out someone wasn't who you believed them to be. You invested time, energy, love. You gave them your best. And now it feels like they've thrown it away. But let me tell you, nothing you've given in love and kindness and faithfulness has been wasted. God saw your heart. He saw your effort. And He is not unjust to forget what you've done. What you sow in integrity, you will reap in abundance. What you release in faith, He will return to you in ways you never imagined. Think about Joseph. His own brothers betrayed him. They threw him into a pit, sold him into slavery, left him for dead. And for years, Joseph must have wondered why. Why would his own family do this to him? Why would the people who were supposed to love him hurt him the most? But what looked like betrayal was actually positioning. What seemed like injustice was actually preparation. Because if Joseph had never been sold, he would have never made it to the palace. If he had never faced adversity, he wouldn't have developed the strength, the wisdom, the faith to walk in his destiny. So if you're in a season where God is exposing things, where people are showing their true intentions, don't be discouraged. Don't let bitterness take root. Instead, stand firm, knowing that what is happening is part of God's plan. He is removing what doesn't belong. He is pruning, refining, making sure that when you step into your purpose, you are surrounded by the right people. People who will stand with you, not just when you're struggling, but when you're succeeding. People who will lift you up, not tear you down. People who will celebrate, not compete. Sometimes the only way to recognize the wrong people is to start winning. As long as you're struggling, as long as you're beneath them, they have no issue cheering you on. But the moment you rise, the moment you begin to step into what God has called you to, their true heart is revealed. And that's okay, that's necessary, because you can't take everyone with you. Not everyone is meant to go where you're going. Some people were only meant to be a lesson. Others were only meant to be a stepping stone. And that's why you can't get stuck mourning relationships that were never meant to be permanent. You can't hold on to what God is trying to remove. So let this be a word for you today. Trust the process. Trust that God knows what He's doing. If someone has been revealed as disloyal, as deceitful, as not truly for you, don't try to fix it. Don't beg them to stay. Don't lower yourself to make them comfortable. Let them go, because what God has for you is too big to be held back by people who don't belong in your next season. The destiny He has prepared is too great to be limited by relationships that were only meant for a chapter, not the whole story. You may not understand it now, but one day you'll look back and be grateful. You'll see how God was orchestrating every detail, how He was protecting you from relationships that would have drained you, distracted you, delayed you. You'll see how He was aligning the right people, the right opportunities, the right doors. And in that moment, you won't mourn what you lost, you'll rejoice in what you gained. You'll see that every exposure, every revelation, every moment of heartbreak was actually a moment of preparation. So lift your head, walk with confidence. Know that what God is doing in your life is intentional. You are being positioned for something greater. You are being set up for blessings you can't even imagine. And when you step into it, you'll look back and realize that everything that happened, every person that left, every truth that was revealed in it was all part of His divine plan. Stay faithful, stay focused, and get ready for what's coming next. Have you ever noticed that when you start walking in God's favor, some people around you begin to change? They get uncomfortable, their attitude shifts, and they start acting differently towards you. Maybe they were once your biggest supporters, but now they're distant, cold, or even hostile. They find reasons to pick arguments. They avoid you, or they just don't seem at peace in your presence anymore. My friend, that is not a coincidence. That is God at work. God has a way of disrupting the peace of those who are not meant to be in your life. He stirs something inside of them that makes it hard for them to stay around you. They may not even understand why, but suddenly they feel uneasy in your presence. The truth is, when you carry the light of God, it will always disturb the darkness in others. The anointing on your life will make some people uncomfortable, not because you're doing something wrong, but because your presence exposes what's inside of them. You see, when God's favor is on you, it creates a dividing line. It draws people to you who are supposed to walk with you, and it pushes away those who are not meant to go where you are going. You don't even have to do anything. You don't have to say a word. Your spirit, your presence, the way God moves in your life, it does the work for you. Some people will celebrate you, but others will be irritated by you, not because of who you are, but because of what you represent. You represent God's goodness. You represent His favor. You represent His light. And when you walk into a room carrying that light, it exposes what is hidden in the hearts of those around you. It makes them restless. It makes them uncomfortable. And instead of dealing with what's inside of them, instead of choosing to grow, they choose to distance themselves from you. But here's the key. When they leave, don't chase after them. Don't try to convince them to stay. Don't lower your light just to make them comfortable. God is removing them for a reason. He is shifting people in and out of your life according to His plan. He is making room for something better, for the right people who will encourage you, support you, and walk with you into your destiny. I know it can be painful when people change, when relationships shift, when those you once trusted begin to act differently. But don't see it as a loss. See it as a blessing. God is protecting you. He is saving you from relationships that would hold you back, from people who were only meant to be in your life for a season. Sometimes we try to hold on to what God is trying to remove. We try to keep people close when God is saying, let them go. Think about Saul and David in the Bible. Saul loved David at first. He welcomed him into his palace, treated him like family, even made him a leader in his army. But as David grew, as God's favor became more evident in his life, Saul's attitude changed. He became jealous. He became hostile. He started throwing spears at David, trying to take his life. What happened? The light in David exposed the darkness in Saul. And David had a choice: stay in a toxic situation trying to make it work, or trust that God had something greater ahead. Some of you are in situations right now where people are throwing spears at you, not physically, but with their words, their actions, their negativity. They're trying to tear you down, trying to make you doubt yourself, trying to make you feel like you're not good enough. But hear me, that's not a sign that you need to shrink back. That's a sign that God is taking you higher. The enemy doesn't attack those who are going nowhere. The fact that you're experiencing opposition means that there's something great inside of you. And when people start walking away, don't be discouraged. Don't let their rejection make you question your value. Their exit is not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their inability to handle what God is doing in you. Some people can only handle you at a certain level. They were fine when you were struggling, when you were doubting yourself, when you were playing small. But the moment you start walking in confidence, the moment you start stepping into the fullness of what God has called you to be, they can't handle it. They like the old you, but they can't handle the new you. And that's okay. God never removes people without a purpose. Every time He takes someone out of your life, He is making space for someone better. He is aligning you with the right people, the right opportunities, the right doors that will propel you into your destiny. But if you're too focused on who left, you'll miss who's coming. If you're too worried about why they changed, you won't recognize the new relationships God is bringing. Some of you have been asking God, why did they turn on me? Why did they stop supporting me? Why did they walk away? But what if their leaving was an answered prayer? What if God heard the conversations you didn't? What if He saw the intentions of their hearts that you couldn't see? What if He was protecting you from something you didn't even know was there? My friend, don't cry over what God has removed. Don't grieve over what was never meant to stay. Trust that He knows what He's doing. You were not called to fit in. You were called to stand out. You were not called to keep everyone happy. You were called to walk in purpose. And not everyone can handle your purpose. Not everyone is meant to go where you are going. Some relationships were only meant to be seasonal. Some connections were only meant to be temporary. And that's okay. Because what God has ahead is always better than what's behind. So lift your head up. Stop mourning over what didn't work out, over who left, over who changed. It wasn't a loss, it was a gain. It wasn't rejection, it was redirection. God is leading you into something greater. He is setting you up for new relationships, new opportunities, new levels of favor. The right people will celebrate you. The right people will encourage you. The right people will stay. Trust the process. Trust God's timing. And most of all, trust that what He has for you is beyond anything you could ever imagine. Keep walking in faith. Keep shining your light. Keep moving forward. Because your best days are still ahead. I know it hurts when someone betrays you. It feels like a knife in the back. You gave them your trust, your time, your heart, and they turned around and walked away as if none of it mattered. You stood by them in their darkest hours, believed in them when no one else did, yet when you needed them the most, they were nowhere to be found. It's easy to let that pain turn into bitterness, to replay the betrayal over and over in your mind, wondering how someone you cared about could hurt you so deeply. But let me remind you, betrayal is not the end. It's not a curse. It's a setup for something greater. Joseph was betrayed by his own brothers. They threw him into a pit, sold him into slavery, and walked away as if his life meant nothing. Can you imagine the pain, the heartbreak? His own family, the ones who should have protected him, turned against him, but what looked like a tragedy was actually a divine plan in motion. Had they not betrayed him, he would have never ended up in Egypt. Had he not been in Egypt, he wouldn't have been falsely accused and thrown into prison. Had he not been in prison, he wouldn't have met the right people who would connect him to Pharaoh. And had he not met Pharaoh, he never would have become second in command over all of Egypt. Do you see the pattern? What the enemy meant for harm, God turned around for good. Maybe right now you're in that pit. You feel abandoned, rejected, cast aside. Someone walked out on you. Someone you thought would be there forever betrayed your trust. And now you're standing in the ruins of what you thought was a lifelong relationship. But can I tell you, that betrayal didn't catch God by surprise. He didn't look away for a moment and then suddenly realize, oh no, I didn't see that coming. No, He allowed it to happen because He knew it would propel you into your destiny. He saw what you couldn't see, that this wasn't a setback, it was a setup Think about Jesus. One of his own disciples, Judas, betrayed him. He sold him out for 30 pieces of silver. But what if I told you that without Judas, there would be no cross? Without the cross, there would be no resurrection. Without the resurrection, there would be no redemption for you and me. Sometimes God allows the betrayal because He knows it's necessary for the greater purpose He has in store. You may not see it now. It may hurt beyond words. But trust that He is working behind the scenes, turning the pain into purpose, the betrayal into a breakthrough. Stop wasting your energy trying to figure out why they did what they did. Stop letting it keep you up at night, replaying conversations, analyzing every detail. The truth is, it doesn't matter why they betrayed you. What matters is that God saw it all and He is still in control. He is still writing your story. He is still leading you to the palace, even when all you see right now is the pit. When people walk away, let them walk. When they betray you, don't try to chase them down and make them understand what they've done. Some people are only assigned to a certain chapter of your life. When their part is over, you have to be willing to turn the page. Holding on to them won't bring them back. Crying over what they did won't change the past. All it will do is keep you stuck in a place you were never meant to stay. You have to release them so you can receive what God has next for you. Maybe you lost a job you thought was secure. Maybe a business partner turned their back on you. Maybe someone you trusted completely spread lies about you, trying to destroy your reputation. It's painful, no doubt about it, but what if I told you that their betrayal was actually your blessing? What if that closed door is leading you to something better? You see, sometimes God allows people to betray us because He knows we would never leave on our own. We would stay in that relationship, in that job, in that friendship, even though it's beneath what He has prepared for us. So He allows the betrayal not to break us, but to push us to where we're supposed to be. Think about a rocket. It has boosters attached to it that help propel it into the sky. But once the rocket reaches a certain altitude, those boosters fall away. Why? Because if they stayed attached, they would become dead weight. They would prevent the rocket from reaching its full potential. Some people were only meant to be with you for a season. They were boosters that helped you get off the ground, but now that you're going higher, they have to fall away. Let them go. Trust that God is taking you somewhere beyond what you could ever imagine. You may be thinking, but this hurts too much. I don't see how anything good can come from this. That's because you're in the middle of the story. You're in the pit just like Joseph was. You haven't reached the palace yet, but that doesn't mean it's not coming. If Joseph had judged his future based on that pit, he would have given up. If he had based his destiny on being falsely accused in prison, he would have lost hope. But he knew that God was still with him, even in the darkest moments. And because he kept his faith, because he didn't let bitterness take root, he saw the fulfillment of every promise. The same is true for you. This betrayal is not the end. It's not the final chapter of your story. The same God who lifted Joseph out of the pit and placed him in a position of influence is the same God who is working on your behalf right now. He sees your tears. He hears your prayers. He knows the nights you've cried yourself to sleep wondering if things will ever get better. And He's saying to you today, trust me, I know what I'm doing. I allowed this for a reason. This pain is not wasted. This betrayal is not the end. I am leading you to something far greater than what you lost. So lift your head, dry your tears, stop mourning over what didn't work out, and start expecting what's coming. If you could see what God is about to do, you wouldn't waste another moment being upset about who left you. You wouldn't let that betrayal consume your thoughts. Instead, you would be thanking God for removing the wrong people and making room for the right ones. You would be praising Him for closing doors that needed to be closed. You would be rejoicing because you know that He is setting you up for something beyond your wildest dreams. God is faithful. He never allows something to be taken away without preparing something greater. If you keep your heart right, if you refuse to let bitterness take root, if you stay in faith even when it doesn't make sense, you're going to see His favor like never before. The betrayal was painful, but the blessing that's coming will make it all worth it. Keep pressing forward. Keep believing. The palace is ahead, and your best days are still to come. There are moments in life when something just doesn't feel right. Maybe it's a friend, a coworker, or even someone you've just met. On the surface, everything seems fine, but deep down, there's a tug in your spirit, an uneasiness you can't quite explain. That's not just a random feeling. That's not just your imagination playing tricks on you. That is God's way of speaking to you, trying to warn you before you walk into something that could bring unnecessary pain, disappointment, or even destruction into your life. God has given each of us a gift, discernment. It's that inner knowing, that small voice inside that whispers, be careful, pay attention. But too often we ignore it. We think, oh, I'm just overreacting, or maybe I'm being too judgmental. We try to justify staying in situations God is calling us to step away from. We talk ourselves out of the very protection God is providing. But when God gives you a warning, it's not to hinder you, it's to help you. Maybe you've had that experience where you meet someone new, and from the very beginning, something just feels off. They smile, they say all the right things, they act like they have your best interests at heart, but something in your spirit says, be careful. That's not negativity, that's wisdom. That's God guiding you. You don't have to wait for them to hurt you before you believe the warning. You don't have to experience betrayal to confirm what you already sensed. If God is showing you something now, it's because He wants to protect you from pain later. Have you ever noticed how when you look back at some of your toughest moments, there were always warning signs? There were always little things God was trying to show you, but maybe you brushed them off. Maybe you didn't want to believe it. Maybe you were hoping things would get better. But God's protection often comes in the form of an early warning, and our responsibility is to listen. When someone constantly brings negativity into your life, when they always have drama, when they gossip about others, you can be sure they'll gossip about you too. God is showing you their character, not to condemn them, but to protect you. When someone's actions don't match their words, when they promise one thing but do another, that's a red flag. God is saying, don't ignore what I'm showing you. Don't excuse behavior that keeps hurting you. Some of the greatest heartbreaks in life happen because we ignored the warnings. We saw the signs, we felt the uneasiness, but we pushed forward anyway. But God loves us too much to stop speaking. He'll keep giving us little nudges, little moments where we sense something isn't right. If we'll learn to pay attention, we can save ourselves from unnecessary pain. Think about a parent protecting their child. If a child is about to touch a hot stove, the parent doesn't just let it happen. They warn them, don't touch that. It's hot, it will burn you. If the child listens, they avoid pain. But if they ignore the warning, they get burned. That's how God is with us. He sees what we can't see. He knows the hearts of people, the intentions behind their words. When He warns you about someone, it's not to make you fearful or paranoid, it's to keep you safe. Maybe there's someone in your life right now that you feel uneasy about. Maybe every time you're around them, you feel drained instead of encouraged. Maybe something about their spirit doesn't sit right with yours. Pay attention to that. Don't silence the voice of discernment. Don't let emotions or fear of hurting someone's feelings override what God is trying to show you. Sometimes the hardest thing to do is walk away, but walking away can also be the most powerful thing you do for your future. God has people in store for you who will lift you up, who will love you sincerely, who will bring peace instead of chaos, joy instead of drama. But sometimes you can't receive the right people until you let go of the wrong ones. Sometimes God is asking you to release relationships that are not aligned with your destiny, so He can bring people who will truly bless your life. Don't be afraid to trust what God is showing you. If He's putting a check in your spirit, listen to it. If He's revealing someone's true character, believe Him the first time. You don't need to wait for proof. You don't need to wait until the damage is done. God is your protector, and He is guiding you even when you don't fully understand why. There is power in discernment. There is wisdom in listening to the voice of God. He will never lead you wrong. He will never warn you without purpose. If something feels off, take a step back and seek God's direction. He is always speaking. Your job is to listen. There are times in life when we hold on to relationships that were never meant to last forever. We invest our time, our energy, our hearts into people who are only meant to be with us for a season. And when that season is over, we struggle, we fight, we plead, trying to keep what God is removing. But what if I told you that what feels like loss is actually grace in disguise? What if that closed door, that unanswered call, that sudden distance is not rejection, but divine protection? Too often we try to force what God is trying to free us from. We cling to relationships that drain our joy, to people who no longer support our vision, to connections that were never meant to go with us to the next level. And when they start to fall apart, we ask, God, why is this happening? But if we quiet our hearts long enough, we might hear Him say, I'm doing this for you. I'm removing what's not meant for you. Trust me. You see, God knows who belongs in your life and who doesn't. He sees what we can't see. He knows the conversations happening behind closed doors, the true motives of hearts, the hidden intentions that are not for our good. And in His infinite wisdom, He allows certain people to walk away. He lets the communication break down. He lets the misunderstandings increase. He lets the connection fad not to hurt you, but to help you. Because if He didn't let them leave, you would have settled for less than what He has planned for you. When a relationship starts to shift, when it seems like no matter what you do, things just won't go back to the way they were, don't fight against it. Don't try to fix what God is dismantling. Don't waste your time trying to rekindle something that God has already extinguished. Because the truth is, if they were meant to stay, they wouldn't have left. If they were meant to be in your life, they would have fought for the relationship. Some people are not equipped to go where God is taking you. Some relationships were good for a time, but not for a lifetime. God removes to make room. He closes doors to open better ones. He ends relationships to bring divine connections. When someone walks away, you have to trust that it is for your good. You may not understand it now. You may feel hurt, disappointed, even abandoned. But one day, you'll look back and see that what you thought was breaking you was actually setting you free. Think about the times you tried to make something work that wasn't supposed to. Maybe you begged them to stay. Maybe you went out of your way, compromising your peace, your joy, your values, just to keep them in your life. But in the end, they still left. And here you are, still standing. You thought you wouldn't survive without them, but look at you now, stronger, wiser, at peace. That's because God never takes something away without giving you something better. If a door closes, don't sit there knocking when God has already moved on. If a relationship ends, don't waste your energy reliving the past when your future is waiting. Sometimes the greatest act of faith is to let go. To say, God, I don't understand, but I trust you. I trust that you are working all things for my good. I trust that you see what I cannot see. I trust that if this person was meant to be in my life, they would still be here. Rejection is often redirection. When someone leaves, when a friendship ends, when a relationship dissolves, it may feel like rejection, but God is redirecting you towards something greater. He is shifting things in your favor. He is protecting you from relationships that would have kept you stuck, drained your joy, or distracted you from your purpose. You don't have to chase people. You don't have to beg someone to love you, to respect you, to stay in your life. When God sends the right people, you won't have to force the connection. The right people will uplift you, support you, and walk with you willingly. And until they come, trust that every goodbye is making room for a better hello. Letting go is never easy, but peace comes when you release what no longer serves you. Joy returns when you stop trying to control what is out of your hands. And freedom begins when you embrace the truth that what God has ahead is far greater than anything left behind. So today, if you're facing the pain of a broken relationship, if you're wondering why someone you cared about suddenly walked away, take heart. It's not a mistake. It's not an accident. It's not a punishment. It's divine intervention. It's God making space for the people, the relationships, the blessings that are meant to stay. Don't hold on to what God is releasing. Trust Him and watch Him do something new. There are moments in life when we feel a deep loss, a separation, an unexpected departure of someone we thought would always be there. Maybe it was a friend who distanced themselves, a relationship that didn't work out, a job opportunity that slipped through your fingers. It's easy to look at those situations and feel discouraged, to wonder why things didn't go the way you had hoped. But can I tell you today that sometimes the very thing you're crying over is the thing God is using to bless you. You see, there are people who were never meant to go where God is taking you. Their season in your life has come to an end, and as painful as it may feel, it is not a loss, it is a setup for something greater. Sometimes God has to remove people because they are limiting you. Their presence is holding back your blessing. The moment they step away, suddenly doors start opening. Opportunities you never imagined begin to appear. Strength you didn't know you had rises up within you. That's not a coincidence. That's God saying, I had to move them out of the way so I could release what I had in store for you. Look at Abraham and Lot. They traveled together. They were family. They shared in victories and hardships. But there came a time when their paths had to separate. And what's powerful is that it wasn't until Lot left that God revealed the full extent of His promise to Abraham. There are some blessings that God will not release until the wrong people are out of the way. It's not that they were bad people, but their assignment in your life was complete. Keeping them in your circle would have only hindered your growth. Maybe you've been mourning a loss, a relationship that didn't work out, a friend who no longer calls, an opportunity that you thought was yours but slipped away. Can I encourage you today? Don't waste your time looking back, wondering what you did wrong. Instead, lift up your eyes and see where God is taking you. He has new connections, new relationships, new opportunities lined up for you, but you will never see them if you are stuck mourning over who left. Too often we think we need certain people to fulfill our destiny. We tell ourselves, I can't do this without them, I won't make it if they're not here. But the truth is, if you needed them for your purpose, they wouldn't have left. If they were essential to your destiny, God would have kept them in your life. The fact that they walked away, the fact that they distanced themselves, the fact that things didn't work out is proof that they were not part of your future. Sometimes God removes people because they were secretly against you. Maybe they smiled to your face, but deep down they didn't believe in you. They doubted your dreams. They spoke negativity over your life. They discouraged you from stepping out in faith. And because you were comfortable with them, you didn't see how they were limiting you. So God had to allow them to walk away. He had to close that door, not to hurt you, but to protect you. He knew that if they stayed, you would never step into your full potential. I've heard stories of people who were struggling in a certain area, maybe financially, emotionally, spiritually, and they felt stuck. They prayed and asked God for a breakthrough, but nothing seemed to change. Then all of a sudden, someone left their life. Maybe a friend moved away, a relationship ended, a business partnership dissolved. At first, they were devastated. They thought, why did this happen? I needed them. They were supposed to be with me. But then something amazing happened. Blessings started flowing. Promotions came. Their business took off. Their peace returned. That's not a coincidence. That's God saying, I couldn't bless you the way I wanted to because they were in the way. God knows what He's doing. He sees the motives of people's hearts. He hears conversations you never heard. He knows who is truly for you and who is just there for what they can get. And when the time comes, He will separate you from anything and anyone that is not aligned with your purpose. That's why you can't take it personally when people leave. That's why you don't have to beg anyone to stay. If they're meant to be in your life, nothing will take them away. But if God allows them to go, it's because He has something far greater ahead. You have to make up your mind that you are not going to live in regret, questioning what went wrong, dwelling on the past. Instead, you need to stand in faith and declare, God, I trust you. I know you wouldn't let them leave unless you had something better for me. I know you are ordering my steps, and what's coming is greater than what's gone. When you have that kind of faith, you open yourself up to God's best. You allow Him to bring the right people into your life, people who will celebrate you, encourage you, and push you into your destiny. Maybe today you're in a season of transition. You've lost something. Someone walked away. An opportunity didn't work out. It's tempting to get discouraged, to feel like you've been left behind. But can I tell you, God is setting you up. He is positioning you for something greater. What you thought was a setback is actually a setup for your next breakthrough. What you thought was rejection was actually redirection. God is moving things around because He sees the big picture. He knows what's up ahead, and He is making sure you are in the right position to receive all that He has for you. So today, shake off the disappointment. Let go of the sadness. Wipe your tears and lift up your head. Your best days are still ahead of you. The right people, the right opportunities, the right doors are coming your way. And when you look back, you will see that everything that left your life was necessary for your growth. You will realize that those who walked away didn't take anything from you. In fact, they made room for God's blessings to overflow in your life. You are stepping into a new season, a season of favor, a season of abundance, a season where God is about to show you why certain things had to happen the way they did. So don't mourn over what's gone, get ready for what's coming, because what's ahead is far greater than anything you've left behind. I know it's painful when people reveal their true colors, but don't let it make you bitter, let it make you better. Every person God removes, He replaces with something better. Every fake friend He exposes, He brings real ones to lift you up. You may not see it now, but trust me, God is setting you up for greater. Don't be discouraged when people walk away. God is making room for something incredible. Stay faithful, stay strong, and watch what He does in your life. Amen.